Today we have a roller coaster of a story. Please take a second to relax and enjoy. Without further ado, the world had always felt safe to Lily as long as she had her parents close and Sadie at her side. At 10 years old, she still slipped her hand into her father's when crossing the street, still leaned into her mother's shoulder when storms rattled the house. And Sadie, her golden brown German shepherd, was always there, watchful eyes glowing with the kind of loyalty no words could capture. But safety has a way of shattering when you least expect it. The car ride that night had been ordinary at first. Lily's family was returning from visiting relatives 2 towns over. Rain sheeted across the windshield, wipers smacking back and forth in frantic rhythm. Her father leaned forward, squinting into the blur, while her mother rested a hand on Lily's knee in the back seat. Sadie sat beside her, ears pricked, muscles tense, every rumble of thunder making her shift closer to the girl. Then the headlights appeared. Too fast. Too close. A truck sliding across the wet highway. The world erupted in screeches and the bone-deep slam of metal. Lily was thrown sideways, Sadie's body crashing against hers like a shield. She screamed, glass shattering, tires screaming against asphalt. Then the car spun, tipped, and darkness swallowed everything. When she opened her eyes, smoke hung thick in the air. The front seat was twisted metal. Her father was slumped against the wheel, blood streaking his temple. Her mother's hand, the one that had been holding hers, dangled limp and still. "Mom?" Lily whispered, her throat raw. "Dad?" No answer. But Sadie was there. Bruised, whimpering, but alive. The dog pressed her body against the girl, nudging her toward the broken door. The smell of gasoline burned Lily's nose. Sirens wailed faintly in the distance. Sadie barked once, sharp, urgent. And Lily understood. They had to move. The rain hit like knives as Sadie pushed Lily out onto the roadside. Cars slowed, headlights sweeping past, but none stopped. The girl stumbled, barefoot, knees bleeding. She turned back toward the wreck. "We can't leave them," she cried, her voice cracking. Sadie circled her, barking louder, teeth flashing as though daring her to go back. The fire had started already, orange licking at the edges of the mangled hood. Heat radiated, the night alive with danger. "Mom? Dad?" Lily screamed again, but her voice was lost in the storm. Sadie growled low, then nudged her with firm insistence, her wet fur brushing Lily's arm. It wasn't a suggestion. Her heart shattered, but Lily stumbled after the dog, each step dragging her farther from the wreckage, from the only 2 people she'd ever trusted more than the animal pressing against her side. Sadie kept glancing back, ears pinned, tail stiff, urging her forward with short bursts of movement. The sirens grew louder, but they seemed far away, lost in the rain and darkness. Lily's breaths came in sobs, sharp and painful, and her legs trembled with each step. Sadie pressed close, brushing against her thighs to steady her. They crossed a ditch filled with rushing water, climbed a small embankment, and found themselves swallowed by trees. The road disappeared behind them. Lily collapsed to her knees in the mud, clutching Sadie's damp fur. We can't just leave them." Sadie licked her face once, then pulled free, barking fiercely at the shadows around them. It wasn't safe here. The dog stood like a soldier, hackles raised, body between Lily and the night. For the first time in her life, Lily realized it wasn't her parents she was depending on anymore. It was Sadie. They walked until Lily's legs gave out. She curled under a thick tree root, shivering as rain poured through the branches. Sadie circled her, nose twitching, before lying down close enough to share heat. Lily buried her face in the dog's neck, the smell of wet fur comforting despite the storm. "Don't let me fall asleep," she whispered, though exhaustion was already pulling at her eyes. Sadie's chest rose and fell steadily, a calm rhythm. The dog's ears twitched at every sound, rustling leaves, snapping twigs, distant thunder. Every few minutes she stood, patrolled a short circle, and returned to curl around the girl. The night was endless. Lily dreamed of her mother's hand, reaching, but slipping away. She woke with a jolt to Sadie's bark, deep, guttural warning. Her heart pounded as she pressed into the dog's side. In the distance, something moved. Branches snapped. Sadie growled, low and steady, her body tense. Lily clutched her collar, whispering, "Don't leave me." The sound faded. Eventually, dawn bled gray light into the forest. The morning brought cold and hunger. Lily's clothes clung damp to her skin, and her stomach churned painfully. She rubbed her eyes, blinking back tears. "We have to find someone, Sadie." The dog stood, stretching, then looked toward the east. Without hesitation, Sadie began to walk. Lily followed. They pushed through wet undergrowth, branches snagging Lily's arms. The girl stumbled often, but each time Sadie paused, waiting, letting her lean on her for balance. Hours passed. The forest seemed endless. Lily's shoes were gone, lost in the crash, and every step on roots and stones made her wince. She whispered to keep herself brave. "Mom always says, Sadie's the best protector. You won't let anything happen, right?" Sadie wagged her tail once, as if answering. By afternoon, Lily's voice cracked from thirst. They found a small stream, the water trickling cold and clear. Lily drank with her hands, and Sadie lapped beside her. For a moment, the fear eased. But peace didn't last. By late afternoon, voices echoed through the trees, men's voices, rough, joking loudly. Lily froze, clutching Sadie's fur. "Hello," she called weakly, hope sparking. The voices grew clearer, but something in them felt wrong. Laughter that wasn't kind. Words she didn't understand but carried sharp edges. Sadie stepped forward, body rigid, growl vibrating in her chest. Two figures appeared through the trees, men with ragged jackets, eyes sharp. They stopped when they saw Lily. "Well, look at this," one muttered. "Kid and a dog." The other smirked. She lost? Lily's throat closed. Every instinct screamed at her to run, but her legs wouldn't move. Sadie barked, teeth bared, her body forming a wall in front of the girl. The men exchanged a glance. One took a step forward. "Easy, girl." Sadie lunged, snapping, her bark explosive. The man jumped back, cursing. "Forget it," the other said quickly. "Not worth it." They disappeared back into the woods, their voices fading. Lily buried her face in Sadie's fur, shaking. "Don't ever leave me," she whispered. Sadie didn't. The forest felt heavier after the men left, the shadows darker, every rustle in the branches sharper in Lily's ears. She clung to Sadie's fur, her small fingers twisting into the thick coat. Sadie didn't ease her guard, her head kept turning, ears twitching, nose searching the air for danger. The growl had faded from her throat, but her muscles remained tight, coiled like springs. Lily's legs wobbled as they kept moving, and hunger gnawed at her belly. Her throat was raw from thirst again, but she followed where Sadie led. The German shepherd never hesitated, her steps sure even in the labyrinth of roots and moss. "Where are you taking us?" Lily whispered, her voice hoarse. "Do you know where we're going?" Sadie flicked an ear back, like she heard but didn't need to answer. She only walked, and Lily had no choice but to trust. The sun dropped low, turning the forest gold and red. For a moment, it was almost beautiful. But then the sky grumbled again, and Lily's stomach sank. Another storm was coming. It hit quickly. The wind whipped through the trees, howling, shaking the branches until they groaned and snapped. Rain poured down, colder than before, soaking Lily to the bone. She gasped, hugging herself, stumbling. Sadie shoved against her side, urging her toward a cluster of rocks. They found a shallow cave, hardly more than a crack in the stone, but enough to block some of the rain. Lily crawled inside, teeth chattering, her hair plastered to her face. Sadie shook herself off at the entrance, then lay across the opening like a living door, blocking the wind with her body. Rain lashed her fur, but she didn't move. Her ears twitched constantly, her eyes fixed on the storm. Lily pressed her face into her knees, sobbing. "I want Mom. I want Dad." Sadie turned her head and nudged the girl gently with her nose. Then she rested her chin on her paws again, calm, steady, a wall against the storm. Through her tears, Lily whispered, I'd be gone if you weren't here. Sadie's eyes blinked slow and warm. The storm lasted all night. Lily dozed in fits, jerking awake at every clap of thunder. Each time she woke, Sadie was there, her warm flank pressed close, her steady breathing an anchor. At dawn, the rain eased to a drizzle. Lily crawled out of the cave, her body sore, her stomach hollow. She picked up a stick and scraped shapes in the mud, a house, two smiling parents, herself holding Sadie's leash. Sadie patted over, licking the mud from her hands. Lily giggled despite herself. Okay, I get it. We should keep moving. They walked again, though Lily's legs dragged. The forest opened briefly into a meadow. Tall grass brushed her arms, and for the first time in days, she felt the sun. She dropped into the grass, laughing weakly, arms spread wide. Sadie bounded around her, tail wagging, nose buried in the wildflowers. For one fragile moment, it almost felt like playing in their backyard again. Then a hawk screamed overhead, sharp and lonely, and the weight of reality came rushing back. The woods were quieter now. The storm had passed, leaving only the whisper of dripping leaves. Lily trudged on, dizzy with exhaustion, her lips cracked and pale. Sadie walked close, sometimes brushing against her leg to keep her steady. Lily's step slowed, then faltered. She dropped to her knees, coughing. Sadie, she rasped, I don't feel good. Sadie whined softly, circling her. The girl's face was flushed, sweat mixing with dirt. Fever burned through her small body, and her breath came fast. She tried to stand, but the world tilted. Just a minute, she murmured, eyes unfocused. Sadie licked her cheek, then turned her head toward the trees. Somewhere, faintly, there was the echo of a road, the distant hum of a car. She could hear what Lily couldn't. Sadie nosed at her again, then tugged gently at her sleeve. Where are you going? Lily whispered, barely awake. Don't leave. Sadie pressed her nose to the girl's forehead, then barked once, sharp and certain, before disappearing through the trees. The world blurred for Lily. Time twisted. Sometimes she thought she heard her mother calling her name, sometimes only the wind. She drifted in and out of sleep, whispering Sadie's name into the empty air. Sadie ran. Her paws hit the ground hard, heart pounding. She followed the smell of oil, of heat, of humans. Her instinct screamed that help was close. Breaking through the brush, she saw it, a dirt road, faint tire marks etched in the mud. She barked once, twice, then ran down the center, tail high, body tense. Minutes later, a truck rounded the bend. The driver slammed the brakes when he saw the dog. Sadie stood firm, barking wildly, darting ahead and back, demanding attention. What the driver muttered, opening the door. Easy, girl. Sadie ran into the woods, then turned, barking again. The man frowned. You want me to follow? She barked once more, insistent. He grabbed a flashlight from his seat and followed her. The man stumbled through the brush, following Sadie's sharp cries. Then his light caught movement, a small figure curled under a tree. Hey, kid, he shouted, kneeling. Lily stirred weakly, eyes half open. Sadie, she whispered. She's right here, the man said, looking back. Sadie stood a few feet away, chest heaving, eyes locked on him. He lifted Lily carefully, feeling the heat from her skin. Hang on, sweetheart. We'll get you help. The man carried Lily to his truck, whispering that everything would be okay. She barely heard him. Her fingers twitched weakly towards Sadie, who trotted beside them, never breaking stride. The headlights cut through the trees as he laid the girl across the seat. Hospital's 20 minutes, he muttered, turning the key. Sadie jumped into the bed of the truck, nose pressed to the glass, eyes fixed on Lily. The road jolted them. Lily stirred, her voice faint. Sadie, she's cold. She's right behind us, kid, the man said. She's watching. The rain started again, softer now, like the world was trying to wash away the fear that had been living there for days. Every bump made Lily's head roll toward the window. Sadie's silhouette never moved. Halfway down the dirt road, headlights bloomed behind them, a second truck, then another. The driver leaned forward. Rescue crews, he said. Relief flickered. He honked twice and pulled over. Men in reflective jackets jumped out, voices urgent. "We got her. She's alive." Hands lifted Lily from the cab. Sadie barked sharply, leaping down, circling them as they laid the girl on a stretcher. The paramedics bent close, checking vitals, slipping an oxygen mask over her face. "Her pulse is weak but steady," one said. Sadie stood pressed to the stretcher's side. No one could move her away. They loaded Lily into the ambulance. The driver tried to block the dog with an arm, but she ducked under it, planting herself between the gurney and the door. "Let her stay," a medic murmured. "She got her this far." The siren wailed, blue light slicing through the dark. Lily blinked, eyes fluttering open. "Sadie," she whispered through the mask. "She's here," said the medic. She never left. The dog sat still, eyes locked on the girl, tail barely moving. The rhythm of the siren filled the space between heartbeats. Then something changed, a flash of movement on the road ahead. A deer burst from the tree line. The driver swore, wrenching the wheel. The ambulance swayed, clipped the ditch, and stopped hard. Metal groaned, glass cracked but didn't shatter. The lights kept spinning. Everyone was alive, but the rear doors had popped open. Cold air rushed in. Sadie leapt out before anyone could grab her. Outside, headlights from the trailing truck swung wildly through the trees. The deer had fled, but something else stirred in the dark, the low, ragged snarl of a wild dog pack drawn by the siren's echo. Shapes flickered at the forest's edge, eyes glinting. Sadie barked once, loud enough to cut through the chaos. The paramedic shouted for her to get back inside, but she didn't move. She stood in the road, tail stiff, head low, facing the shadows. One of the rescuers ran forward, waving a flare. "Get the kid out of here," he yelled. "Now!" They lifted Lily's stretcher to the backup ambulance. Through the open doors, she saw Sadie standing against the darkness, her fur lit red by the flare. "Sadie!" Lily cried, voice breaking. The German shepherd turned her head once, just long enough for the girl to see her eyes, before the night swallowed her shape. The snarling grew louder, then faded. The sound that replaced it was the wind through the pines. They searched until sunrise. The rescuers combed the ditches, the woods, every hollow of the roadside. Nothing. Only prints in the mud leading away from the crash site, ending near the riverbank where the ground gave way to water. When they told Lily, she didn't speak. Her small hands clutched the blanket around her shoulders. Her lips trembled, but no sound came. She just looked out the window of the ambulance at the trees rushing past. A few days later, in the hospital bed, she whispered to the nurse, "She saved me twice." The woman smoothed her hair and said softly, "Sometimes love is brave like that." Outside the window, the wind brushed the branches. It sounded like distant footsteps. Weeks passed. Lily's parents, both alive but injured from the crash, finally stood beside her bed. Her mother's arm was in a sling, her father's head wrapped in bandages. The reunion was quiet, tears more than words. When they took her home, she asked to stop by the forest road. The rescue crew had left a small wooden sign there. "In memory of Sadie, who led love through the dark." Lily knelt beside it, setting her hand on the soil. "You kept your promise," she whispered. Her father touched her shoulder. "She's still watching, Lil." And for a moment, Lily believed it. A faint rustle in the wind, a shape between the trees, the warmth of breath that wasn't really there. She smiled through the tears. Sadie hadn't left her. Not really. Some bonds don't break, they simply wait beyond the noise of the world.